Welcome to today's lesson, and we're going to be exploring tariffs. In this lesson, we'll be focusing more on municipal tariffs such as water and electricity. So as I said, we are focusing on electricity and water, but it's very important that we remember that electricity is measured in kilowatt hours while water is measured in kiloliters. So what do we mean by the word tariff? Tariff is a charge in rents per unit for a specific service. For example, let's say Eskom charges you 2 rand per unit in electricity. So that will then mean that if you use 10 units or kilowatt hours of electricity, you will then calculate by taking the 10 units, multiplying by the tariff, which is 2 rand, and then you will have to then pay 20 rand in total. So it's very important that you remember that tariffs change from time to time, which is why we keep on calculating this, and it's not something that's just stagnant. So what is the formula for calculating the cost of whatever we use? Whether you're calculating electricity tariff or water tariff or cell phone and so on, it's very important to remember that the formula does not change. It stays the same. So the total cost is equal to the number of units multiplied by the tariff. So depending on what you're given, you will use this formula and you can manipulate it to get the answer for the question asked. Sometimes you will be given the number of units and the tariff. You'll be asked to calculate the total cost. So that's an easy one. But in some instances, you will be given the number of units and let's say total cost, and you'll be asked to calculate the tariff and so on. So it's just a matter of plotting what you are given in the formula and finding what's not given. So let's look at an example of how we calculate total cost. The question says, Tabo's geyser uses 180 kilowatt hour per week. Calculate how much Tabo spent on his geyser per week, excluding VAT. So we are given a tariff table there, and we are told in the top part that these prices are in cents per kilowatt hour. So that already tells you that after calculating, you need to then convert to get your answer in rent, because people normally pay in rent as opposed to cents. So we are also given our prices in 2 different parts, excluding VAT and including VAT. So you look at the question and then you locate the right column. Because in this question, I'm expected to calculate the price excluding VAT, I'm only going to focus on the column that has the words excluding VAT. And 180 kilowatt hours is less than 300 kilowatt hours. So I'm going to work with the first block right there. So then I will then calculate 180 multiplied by 112.99 cents. So the answer that you get when you use your calculator here is 20,338.20 cents. So as I said, we will need to then convert to rent to really determine how much the person is paying in terms of rent. So as you can see there with our yellow words, I wrote that you divide that answer by 100 and then you get 203.38 cents. So Tabo then spends 203.38 cents per week. That's a lot, hey? So let's look at electricity tariffs in depth. The amount to be paid is directly proportional to the number of kilowatt hours of electricity used. So this means that the more you use, the more you pay, and the lesser you use, the lesser you pay. So it's really up to you how much you spend at the end of the day. So electricity has 2 options. The first one is prepaid, which is the pay-as-you-use option. So what this means is that in the beginning of the month, you can buy electricity for 100 rand. You'll be given specific units for that amount, and you can only use up to that far. And if you finish that, your electricity will cut, you'll have to go and buy again, and so on and so on. So you pay as you use. And the second option, You've guessed it. It's the fixed billing option. So this one you pay at the end of the month. So instead of paying first before you use, you just get to move into an apartment and start using. And then at the end of the month, you receive a bill that tells you how many units you've used and how much you have to pay for that. So normally people don't like this because this can be very tricky. You can end up enjoying yourself, especially in winter, using heaters and all that, only to find that you receive a bigger bill at the end of the month. So normally people prefer prepaid option because then you can get to regulate how much you're using. So let's try a few questions that are in line with electricity tariffs. The first question says, write the tariff per kilowatt hour charged in block 2. So the blocks are the rows where you have your number of kilowatt hours as well as the amount you are charged. And you also have to then look at the top part to understand if this is in terms of cents or or rands per kilowatt hours. So in a situation like this where you are not given your price, where you are not given specification as to whether you should calculate the amount excluding VAT or including VAT, I would really advise you to go for the option that has including VAT. Reason being that normally we pay our bills with VAT included. It's very rare that you will pay for something and you don't have to pay for VAT in South Africa. The only time you won't have to pay for that is when you are maybe purchasing something that's an essential, such as, your maize meal and so on, the basic needs. But because electricity is not necessarily basic need, I know we need it, but it does not fall under that. So we have to pay VAT for that all the time. So to answer this, really use your answers or your amount that has VAT included in it. But even if you wouldn't, I wouldn't fail you, but it's very important you remember that. And the second question says, determine the amount to be paid for 150 kilowatt hours. So pause this video and attempt answering these questions. So to answer the first question, when I look at block 2, my answer is 129.94 cents. So if you wrote that, then you are correct, my friend. And then let's now try to answer the second question. The second question says, determine the amount to be paid for 150 kilowatt hours. So here we will have to move now block by block, okay? So from the 150, if you use anything between 50 and downwards, anything less than 50, then you will be charged 86 rands and 26 cents for those units. So the first 50 kilowatt hours is equals to 50 multiplied by 86.26 cents, which will then give you 4,313 cents. So here, as you can see, my answer does not have decimals. But in a situation where you have decimal places, I advise you not to round off yet until you arrive to the final answer. This is to avoid maybe overestimating things or underestimating your answers and ending up with a wrong answer at the end. The second step is to divide that amount then by 100. When I divide it by 100, I get 43 rands and 13 cents. Other people choose to just continue with the cents until to the final answer and then only convert then. It's up to you, not a problem. Just don't round off yet until you arrive to the final answer. And so now that we've calculated the 50 units and we know how much the person is charged, we then need to subtract those 50 kilowatt hours from the total of 150 kilowatt hours, which will then mean that he has to now pay for 100 kilowatt hours. 100 kilowatt hours will fall under the second block, the 50 to 300 kilowatt hour block. So there we know that whatever you use that's within that block, you will be charged 129.94 cents, including VAT. The next thing, you divide by 100 to get your answer in rands. Then my new answer will be 129 rands,94. The good thing about this is that I do not have up to 3 decimal places or 4 and so on. My answer was already in 2 decimal places. But in a situation where now your answer has more than 2 decimal places, always remember when you arrive to the final answer to round off to the 2 decimal places, because money is charged up to 2 decimal places. Okay. So therefore, the total amount that this person has to pay will be 43 rands, 13 cents plus 129 rands, 94 cents. When you add those together, you get 173 rands, 07 cents. Did you get that right? Did you get that right? Then I'm proud of you. Pause this video and just try to double check if there's anything that needs to be fixed somewhere. So now let's move on to water tariffs. Like electricity tariffs, with water tariffs, the amount to be paid is directly proportional to the number of kiloliters of water you use. So the more you use more water, the more you pay. And the less you use water or kiloliters of water, the lesser you pay. So it's important that I remind you that when it comes to converting between kiloliters and liters, 1 kiloliter is equals to 1,000 liters. Okay, so if you're given your answer in terms of kiloliters and you have to convert to liters, always remember this conversion. Secondly, with water tariff, we use what we call the sliding scale. Sliding scale fees are variable prices for services based on customers' ability to pay, okay? Because water is one of the essentials in South Africa, so hence the municipality tends to be more lenient when it comes to this, and that is why people spend less on water than they do on electricity. So we are given the sliding scale there, and we are given the range that you get charged for in terms of kiloliters and how much you have to pay for that. So our money here is already in rents, so we won't need to do conversion, and we are told it's excluding VAT. It's very important to remember that as much as water is essential, you will still pay VAT when it comes to paying for municipality rates. So yeah, keep that in mind. So the first 6 kiloliters are free. Okay, you don't pay anything when you use anything between anything less than 6. Yes, so you don't pay anything when you use anything less than 6. But now, for the next 4 kiloliters, meaning between 6 kiloliters and 10, when you use anything then from there, you will then be paid. Okay. And then for the next 4 kiloliters, because if you take 10 kiloliters minus 6, you will get 4. Okay. So for the next additional 4 kiloliters, you will then be charged 5 rands and 21 cents per kiloliter. And then next, between 10 to 15, that is the next 5 kiloliters, because 15 minus 10 kiloliters is equal to 5. So you will then be charged 7 rands and 87 cents for those kiloliters. And then for anything above 15 kiloliters, then you will then be charged 10 rands and 52 cents. Let us try answering few questions based on that sliding scale we looked at. So the first question says, why is the first 6 kiloliter free? And the second question, calculate the total cost per 20 kiloliters. So just pause this video and attempt answering this. So to answer the first question, the government does this to accommodate households with low to no income, okay? Because, I mean, we need water, we all need water, and without water, we can do nothing. So hence, they start leniency when it comes to the charges of water. So if you don't want to pay anything, then you better stick to using anything less than 6 kiloliters. So the second question, calculate the total cost for 20 kiloliters. We know that for the first kiloliters, you pay 0 rand. You don't pay anything, okay? And the second step will be then to calculate how much you're using for the next 4 kiloliters. So remember how we got this 4? From subtracting 10 by 6, you get 4. So for the next 4, you multiply that by 5 rand, 21 cents. And that will mean you have to pay 20 rands and 84 cents. And then next, we have the next 5 kiloliters. You will be then charged 7 rands and 87 cents for those. And your answer will be 39 rands, 35 cents for those number of kiloliters. So you need to keep calculating to see if you are on the right track and if you have to stop or not. Okay. So we have 6 plus 4, that's 10, and then 10 plus 5 kiloliters, that's 15 kiloliters. So we still have 5 more to go, right? So let us look at that. So the 5 remaining kiloliters will fall on anything above 15 kiloliters. So it will fall on that last tariff. So we will multiply the 5 by 10,52, and our answer will be 52 rands and 60 cents. Okay, so the next thing is to then add all your answers together from the 0 rands for the 6 kiloliters, 20 rands, 84 plus 39 rands, 35 plus 52 rands, 60. And your total answer will be 112,79. Okay, remember to put the R for rands to specify the amount there. So as I said, you will be charged VAT regardless. So we will then calculate how much the person has to pay, including VAT, by multiplying 112,79 with 115 over 100. Okay, so this is just the shortcut of calculating price including VAT. So you will then multiply whatever amount by 115 over 100. But if you really don't understand how this is done, you can stick to calculating VAT first by multiplying the answer by 15 over 100 and then add that VAT to your answer that you got to get the final answer. But I think I will record another video explaining how to use the shortcut method to get the final answer using the formula of 115 over 100. If you want to find the price excluding VAT, you will then swap the denominator and the numerator, and so you'll have 100 over 115. Okay, so 112,79 multiplied by 115 over 100 will then give you 129 rands, 7085. So we still haven't rounded off yet, but then to get to the final answer, we'll round off that to 2 decimal places because people pay up to 2 decimal places, really. So we have 129 rands, 71 cents. So this is where we will end for today. Next lesson, we will look at telephone tariffs. Bye.